Hi, Deborah.
Hello everyone. Welcome back. My name is Deborah King and I am a breakthrough coach and speaker, and I am answering some questions, discussing some things regarding holistic health and well-being. There is another person in the room and they'll be asking me the questions, so if you hear another voice, that's who it is. And let's just get stuck in.
You look lovely tonight.
Thanks very much.
Oh,
I will take the compliment.
The weather brings out different total polo necks.
I don't know if that's a polo neck or a turtleneck. Is that a turtleneck?
Is it?
A turtleneck?
It's turtleneck.
I'm very fashionable, as you can know. Polo, I think polo necks are up to your neck.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think that's a turtleneck.
That's nice.
Just
I
can
knew
let
a
us
person
know.
that always wear polo neck.
Anyway. We do that.
Well, so Deborah, we have spoken a lot about healing and what it entails and what it does.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just of a point of asking you, is there a negative side or a downside to healing?
Okay. Is there a negative downside to healing? Right. How do I answer this? For me, healing is good because healing changes something for the better. That is the purpose of healing, or some kind of personal development or growth, is to change things for the better. However, sometimes people can perceive things as having a downside or negative, and what I mean by that is healing is not a magic wand for the most part. Don't get me wrong, some things can happen quickly and very profoundly, and there's lots of different types of healing, different types of treatments, therapies, processes, they all work differently. So I need to say all that first. However, when we heal, or when we start to heal or go through a change, it's usually because there's something difficult in our life, or there's something that's not working right, or there's something that we need to change for the better. And I suppose the more serious or deeply rooted, or maybe more traumatic, more serious things that we're trying to heal, there can be a perceived negative side of that, and that's probably something that people don't talk at all about. And when I say a perceived negative side, what I mean is, say for example, somebody comes to me and they're very unhappy about something, and they think it's X, Y, or Z, but actually it's because they don't like their job. And we maybe do a breakthrough session and they realise there's some kind of emotional thing, whatever it is, and they're staying in this job but hate this job. So part of the healing might be, for example, that this job isn't serving them. This job isn't good for their health, and they might need to leave that job. Or they might need to have a really difficult conversation with their partner, their husband, their wife, a friend, because healing's not a magic wand. We talk about the holistic, looking at everything holistically and looking at our lives holistically. So sometimes when we do some kind of mental or emotional healing, we also have to do some kind of practical or physical thing. Not all the time, but I'm talking about sort of more maybe serious, intense, deeper things. So if you kind of realise that you're actually, maybe you think you're unhappy about your partner or yourself or your image or something, but it turns out that actually you're really unhappy in a job you're in, for example, and you do healing around that, and you maybe clear some emotional aspects around that and limiting beliefs around that. However, it may also be that you realise that that job's not serving you and you need to leave that job. So that can be a negative downside, in a way that people go, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to leave this job and I need to get another job, or what if I don't get a job with as much money, or how do I do? So sometimes it can cause a little bit of stress as such, but I'd always say it causes less stress than staying in the problem. But sometimes there's maybe a little bit of stress or something that we need to do or need to change practically. So it can feel like a downside because it causes a few more issues, or you need to look deeply at some practical things. And a lot of these things aren't easy all the time going through them, but once you get out the other side of them, it makes the whole difference. But it's getting to the other side, and I think that's why a lot of people actually also don't want to heal stuff, or only go so far in their healing journey, because there's so much maybe you can do, but then you have to take practical steps. Sometimes you might have to have a conversation with a person who you really don't want to have a conversation with, to really fulfill or complete the healing. So if we may leave a lot of things on, just the last bit of healing maybe not done, because we're afraid to face those things. So in the grand scheme, it's not a negative thing, but we can go through difficult situations, or difficult, the process can have its difficulties, because we need to change other things in our life.
Can I chip in also? I don't know if it's right or is it related to that, but I was thinking that's also like when people are healing, do you think having activities like going for a walk, going to the gym, like doing something, getting out of your house, engaging in things with people also help in the healing aspect, or does that become a negative when you're healing and you're just stuck in one place and not doing anything?
Oh no, I
Because
will.
you talk about the practical aspect of it as well.
No, I think that all of
Yeah.
these things can be beneficial, and it really all depends on what you're healing, how deep
Yeah.
rooted it is. Is it a big serious thing or a lesser thing? Walking, gym, being around friends, etc. All of those things, yeah, can be beneficial. Um, Sometimes if you're going through a really deep healing, you might not want to be around people. Like, you might not want to do that.
Right.
Um, so so again, some people might see that as the downside, because they're just maybe needing time to process things, but that'll be more of a serious or more deep rooted healing. Healing can be simple as well. The likes of energy work, for example. When people would have come to me and say, you just lie in the bed, you do nothing, just
Yeah.
lie there, and then you get up and you feel better. So healing can be healing can be very easy, but there's so many different types of processes and therapies to do healing. It's more kind of the serious stuff when you realise, actually I need to change something bigger,
Right.
and then you go, oh my goodness, does that mean I have to leave my job, or tell this person that they need to change or get out of my life type thing. It's more those deeper serious things, but it's that whole thing of anything worth doing is usually not too easy. There's a bit of effort. There's a bit of effort with it. Healing's not any different. Trying to be an Olympic champion, the best in your field, or the best mechanic, the best show jumper, whatever it is, all of these things, the best parent or whatever. It can take a bit of work, can take a bit of effort, take a bit of challenge. And healing's kind of the same. Healing can take different formats. Some of it can be easier, some of it can be harder. And the healing process, I see healing really as a process, like personal development, ongoing. And you can meet challenges. You can meet challenges along the way, and they can be difficult. But all I would say to people is, I've had to do that. I've had to change jobs, say goodbye to friendships, relationships, make big changes, move houses, do all these things, have difficult conversations with people, as all part of my healing. But when you get out the other end, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. But yes, sometimes it can be challenging sometimes in the meantime, but it's usually for more serious things. Because it is that thing of, what's that wee phrase? You keep getting the same results if you keep doing the same thing.
Yes.
So if something's not shifting in your life, or something's not healing, something's not changing, it may be that something bigger needs to be done. So yeah, that's what I talk about when I say that there might be a downside or a negative thing. It can be perceived as negative, because it can be a bit more stressful, or we have to do this thing, or have to find a new job, or so it can be perceived as a downside, perceived as negative. But it's part of the process of healing. That is part of the process of healing. So it is.
Right. My next question to ask you, is healing easy?
Is healing easy? Well, it kind of matches in with what we've just said there. That's a big question. It depends on the healing. It depends what needs healed.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has watched my video on the limiting beliefs and the Pavlovas. If not, you can go and check that out. It's by Limiting Beliefs. Me changing a limiting belief about my ability to make pavlovas was easy. It was an easy healing, an easy change, and happened within minutes. And yes, then I had to go and do some practical work. Other healing can be difficult. I think one of the biggest challenges with healing is to find the right process or the right therapy for you. Is it difficult? Usually I think the difficulty actually is the build up to actually going and getting a healing, especially if it's the likes of a breakthrough session where we get to really deep rooted emotional root cause of things. What can be the most difficult for people is actually coming to the decision of doing the healing. I actually think that's probably the most difficult for people, coming to the decision of they need healing, the awareness that they need healing, and how do I do it, and where do I go, and how do I afford it, and all those kind of things actually are probably more difficult. And then once the decision's made, I actually think the healing is way easier after that. But it is a process. It is a process. But it can be easy. But sometimes some things will take more time than others.
That's interesting. Well, the last thing is, what would you like to leave to your lovely audience?
I just want to ask everybody, who would you be if you were all that you are?